Fall season is setting in, and with it comes Halloween. For those who love dressing up, giving or collecting candy, and who knows, maybe bobbing for apples, this is a great time of year. But let's dial back the clock a bit and dive into some of the origins of our favorite traditions.
Maybe you've heard of Halloween being called All Hallows Eve or something of the sort. Well, originally, this little celebration at the end of the month was a Celtic tradition. This Celtic tradition was initially supposed to bring in the new year. Tied to this notion was the idea that this day was supposed to celebrate the dead. It was at this time that people believed the veil between the living world and the dead was thinnest.
Perhaps you've heard or seen this time of year as Samhain. Samhain is actually the time frame between October 31st and November 1st, marking the beginning of winter. Winter, often being seen as the symbol of death, brings us back to our earlier point. In some research, Samhain is an individual entity, specifically the Lord of the Dead, who collects the ghosts of people who have died throughout the year.
So, where did these traditions come from? Well, there's a bit of a mix between Celtic traditions and folklore. With the idea of the veil being thinnest around this time, people would dress up in costumes in order to ward evil spirits and ghosts away from their homes and their crops.
Eventually, the Roman Empire made its way to these influences as it conquered the Celts. With some time, incorporated their own beliefs into the festivities of Samhain. With them, the Romans brought an earlier celebration of those who've passed. The second celebration they brought was an honorary celebration of the goddess of fruit and tree. Although it is not central to how we celebrate it in this day and age, that's how the game of bobbing for apples came about.
With the case of trick-or-treating, research provides us with a possibility of a folktale influence. In Ireland during the Celtic times, there was a tale of an individual named Mac Ola, who was believed to be some kind of god, but his actual identity is unknown. In celebrations of Mac Ola, there would generally be some kind of parade, usually led by someone wearing a white horse head. This was to represent the sun god. The sun god was another deity associated to Samhain. In an attempt to stay on the good side of Mac Ola, people would give him things as offerings. Usually this included various types of crop foods. This is where we get the idea of trick-or-treating.
If you're interested in reading more about the history of Halloween, be sure to check our sources in the description below. Oh, and welcome to the Veil. We'll see you next Friday.